Good morning, honorable members. I will lead in the Our Father prayer. Let's pray.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Philip Davis, Chester Cooper, Fred Mitchell, Glennis Hannah Martin, Alfred Sayers, Dr. Michael Darville, Clay Sweeting, Keith Bell, Wayne Monroe, Jobeth Colby Davis, Ginger Moxie, Mario Boleg, Jomo Campbell, Basil McIntosh, Miles Larota, Pia Glover Roll, Lisa Ramming, Zane Lightbourne, Dr. Hubert Minnis, Jamal Strawn, John Pinder, Marcus Roll, Leon Lundy, Kirk Cornish, Wade Watson, Leonardo Lightbourne, Leslie Miller Bryce, Leroy Major, Sylvanus Petty, Michael Bonnaby, Michael Pintard, James Kwesi Thompson, Aram Lewis, Shannon Dawn Cartwright, Adrian Gibson, Adrian White, Kingsley Smith, Darren Pickstock.
Thank you. Good morning, honorable members. In the gallery today, we have Greg British, and he's the former Deputy Speaker and House Leader of Saskatchewan, I think I pronounced that right, province, Saskatchewan in Canada. And we have Michael Pearson, retired RCMP, and Pam Hilchey, former editor of the Hansard and the Committee of Evidence from Ottawa, Canada. Let's welcome them. Welcome to the House of Assembly. Now we'll go down the order of business as we conduct people's business. Introduction and swearing in of new members. Laying of documents by ministers. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Exumas and Ragged Island.
Madam Speaker, I beg leave to lay on the table the Public Debt Management Bahamas Registered Stock 2029, 2031, 2032, 2036, 2048, and 2053, Directions 2026.
Thank you, honorable member. Order the documents, brother. Order the document to lie on the table. For the laying of documents, the chair recognizes the honorable member for Freetown.
Morning, Madam Speaker. I beg leave to lay on the table of the House a copy of 3 of the following. Firstly, the Companies Amendment Act Number 2, Appointed Day Notice 2026.
Thank you, honorable member. Order the document be brought up. Thank you. Order the document to lie on the table. For the lay.
I beg leave to lay on the table of the House a copy of the International Business Companies Amendment Act 2025, appointed day notice 2026.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Order that the document be brought up. Thank you. Order the document to lie on the table. Further laying.
I beg leave to lay on the table of the House, Madam Speaker, a copy of the miscellaneous written law rectification order 2026.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Order that the document be brought up. Thank you. Order the document to lie on the table. Further laying.
And finally, Madam Speaker, I beg leave to lay on the table of the House a copy of the Register of Beneficial Ownership Amendment Act 2025, appointed day notice 2026.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Order the document be brought up.
I didn't sign it.
Thank you. Order the document to lie on the table. Further laying of documents.
No further laying of documents.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Statement and communication by ministers.
No statement of communication. Ministers.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Communications by the clerk. Messages from the Governor General. Messages from the Senate. Motions for leave of absence, leave to resign seat, and new writs. Presentation of petitions. Presentations of reports of committees. Adoption of reports of committees. First reading of bills.
No first reading of bills.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Second reading of committee of bills. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Fox Hill.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I rise to move the second reading and committal of the Bahamas Red Cross Society Amendment Bill 2025. Before doing so, I'd like to, on behalf of the family and friends of the late Dr. Right Honorable Franklin Walking, to thank the government and the House for the large turnout for the funeral. The family was very pleased at the turnout, and you know, in these circumstances, it helps when the community turns out to remember the work which he did. He's a good friend, and I certainly will miss him. So the bill is a very short bill. It has three clauses, and in some senses, we are engaged in an exercise which is sort of fleshing out the independence project. You know, we became independent in 1973, and I see Canadians are in the gallery. I just remember the British North America Act used to govern there until they got their own constitution sometime in the mid-20th century. So we're still fleshing out our project, because in 1973, we got handed to us a number of agreements that the British had signed on our behalf. And we had to, within a certain period of time, decide whether or not we were going to accede to those or reject those. Largely they've been done, largely they've been accepted. And it just causes me to reflect, because when I was looking at the act, the original act, the principal act, which was passed in 1975, and looking at how it's laid out, it appears that up to that time, the Red Cross in the country was a branch of the British Red Cross. And so in 1975, the Parliament decided that the Red Cross, as we now know it, would become a Bahamian entity, no longer a branch of the British Red Cross. And so 1975 gave the Red Cross in the Bahamas a juridical personality and gave it certain rights as a corporation. So what we're doing today sort of finishes that that whole exercise. Because the Bahamas Red Cross is in fact a part of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. In Islamic countries, I believe, crescent is used instead of cross. So in 2022, the Bahamas signed a status agreement with the Red Cross, the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, which is the governing instrument whenever personnel from the Red Cross come to help in times of emergency. I think I ought to go back a bit and say I now know why the now Dame Marguerite Pinling was such an active participant in the 70s for the Red Cross, because of course the Red Cross then had to become self-sufficient. And so Bahamians took over the fundraising to make sure that the entity was able to carry on. And she, of course, you know, did a great job going across the country. And today, I'm not sure what percentage of the fundraising by the Red Cross is actually done by the fair, but it's still a popular fair. It used to be in Government House. I think it's now on Clifford Park, and it's sometimes been on Arawak Key. So the Red Cross has been involved, certainly Hurricane Dorian, most recently in 2019, principal in helping for the country to recover in emergencies and to get back on its feet. So we owe a debt of gratitude to them. But like all entities, for example, with the deployment of our troops to Haiti, or the deployment of U.S. troops or Canadian troops or any troops coming here on missions, there's a status of force agreement that you sign, which gives those persons who are coming in to help to have certain immunities and privileges while they're in the field here. So this is meant, the agreement has been signed, this is meant to flesh out and activate that, because the immunities and privileges cannot kick in until this is actually done and comes into force. We've been working on it for a long time, and I'm happy today to do so, particularly because Kate Forbes, who is the head of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, plans to make a formal and official visit to the Bahamas next week. And I'm hoping by that time the bill is passed and everything is in place for her visit. And she'll be making calls on a number of ministries and ministers during the time she's here for this visit. So I'd like to commend the bill to the House. It's a very short bill. The short title is amends the Bahamas Red Cross Society Act Chapter 389, and it may be cited as the Bahamas Red Cross Society Amendment Act 2025. It amends Section 2 of the Principal Act, and Section 2 of the Principal Act is amended by the insertion in the appropriate alphabetical order of the following: agreement, which is the agreement that I just spoke about, the status agreement between us we signed in 2022. The government means, of course, the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies means the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, which comprises the former League of Red Cross Societies. It's an international humanitarian organization that inspires, encourages, facilitates, and promotes all forms of humanitarian activities by Red Cross and Red Crescent national societies, and may operate in the Bahamas to support the society. And the minister means the minister responsible for foreign affairs. And then the last clause in this bill, Clause 3, which amends Section 3 of the Principal Act, it says by renumbering Sections 3 and 4 to make them subsections 5 and 6, and by the insertion immediately after subsection 2 of the following as a new subsection 3 and 4. So 3, subsection 3, the Federation shall be granted immunities and privileges pursuant to the agreement between the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, that's what I said before, and the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies concerning the legal status of the International Federation in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, signed on the 20th of September 2022, as an organization in accordance with the International Organizations Immunities and Privileges Act of the Laws of the Bahamas, which is in Chapter 14. And then it says, without prejudice to subsection 2, the society shall have the same immunities and privileges as an organization under the International Organizations Immunities and Privileges Act. So essentially what this does is that diplomats in this country have certain privileges and immunities. One of this, they are not subject to lawsuits, to the search of their person and property, the diplomatic premises, their vehicles, their tax exemptions. All of these things apply as diplomatic privileges and immunities. And these are now to be extended, once this comes into force, to the Red Cross in the Bahamas and Red Cross internationally. What I propose to do at the end of the presentation is to lay the draft orders that are anticipated, one for the immunities and privileges which will affect the local Red Cross, and the other that will affect the International Red Cross. The difference being that the Bahamian citizens will not be subject to the immunities in the local body. The property and the tax exemptions, all of those non-personal things will apply. Those immunities will apply, but not immunity of your personal conduct. In the case of the international organization, of course, it applies across the board as it would to all diplomats. So if people would like to see what those orders look like, I'd be happy to lay them at the end of the presentation. What I do want to say is that this is also fleshing out international humanitarian law. The Commonwealth has committed itself, all countries across the world, to international humanitarian law. And there's various indices that you can look at to see whether or not you've matched up with what you're supposed to be doing. And I say this because the topic du jour, of course, particularly after the address by the Canadian Prime Minister in Davos yesterday about the international order being deconstructed, is whether or not we still have a rules-based system. In my view, there is no other choice but to have a rules-based system. And it was interesting to hear his comments about, I think he describes Canada as a I think he called it a middle power, is what he called it. So not a superpower, and not like us, we're small island developing states, but a power in the middle. And he was talking about the choices which they have to make advancing forward in order for things to survive, because in his view, there was the deconstruction of this international order. I take the view that, and I've advised my colleagues, that even if you don't have what we saw in the past, even going forward, we would have to invent it. So I think whatever we're seeing now, we have to see as an exception to the rule, if you want to put it that way, but not so exceptional, because if you look at the history of the world, and as a lecturer at the University of the Bahamas, I've tried to explain this to those who are interested in politics and power, that across the world, there's always been some supervening power that decides how things go. So the first, of course, that we remember is the Pax Romana. And in the 19th century, you had Pax Britannica, so Britain was the power. And in the 20th century, the United States emerged as the most powerful country. and many people describe this era as the Pax Americana. So it is that power that really enforces the rules. And it's a question of who runs those countries that determines how rules are enforced or otherwise. Small countries, and he said a mid-level power, have to depend on a rules-based system to survive. And it's only moral suasion that is possible to make sure that the rules function in a particular way. And so when we signed this agreement, the status agreement with the Red Cross, and when we put in place the immunities and privileges, which will extend now to the Red Cross, we're participating in a rules-based system. So it's expected that we conduct ourselves in a particular way in our international relations. I'm advised by the paper that was forwarded to the Cabinet about the history of Red Cross societies. It appears that League of Red Cross Societies, it says, was created in the year 1919. So that happened to be the year my father was born, and it looks like it was after the First World War. And the 5 founding National Red Cross Societies were France, Great Britain, Italy, Japan, and the United States. So clearly, mankind has been struggling with how do you conduct yourself in times of war and in times of peace? How do you treat human beings in times of conflict? So even wars have rules. And after the Second World War, you saw that people who went to Nuremberg could not say, I was ordered to do X, Y, and Z, because the rule now is, in international law, that you cannot follow, you are not bound to follow a law which is unlawful. You're not bound to do so. And so you cannot, as the head of go out in the field and commit an atrocity and say, I was ordered to do it. That all came about during the 20th century with the tragedies and the deaths, I mean, the slaughter which took place in the First World War, which many had described then as a war to end all wars. But then, of course, within 30 years, 40 years, people were back at it again. And institutions were created again after the Second World War to try and restrain the, I don't want to, well, I will say, the natural impulses of man to fight and to have wars, but to conduct themselves in, if that is not an oxymoron, in a humanitarian fashion, that you don't use gas on people, you don't attack civilians, you don't kill Red Cross workers, and you don't kill journalists, you don't kill ambulance workers. All of those things are off the table. And everybody agrees that that's the position. So 4 conventions were adopted to protect persons who do not take part in fighting, and this was done in 1949. One convention provides for the protection of the wounded and sick on land during the war. It also provides for the protection of medical and religious personnel, medical units, and medical transport. The second convention provides for the protection of wounded, sick, and shipwrecked military personnel at sea. The third convention is applicable to prisoners of war. It replaced the 1929 Prisoners of War Convention and established the principle that prisoners of war shall be released and repatriated without delay after the cessation of active fighting. And the fourth convention provides for the protections of civilians during war. So there were 2 subsequent protocols which were adopted in 1977. So that's 1949, right after the Second World War. It strengthened the protection of victims of international armed conflicts. And also in 2005, there was the third additional protocol was adopted, creating an additional emblem, the red crystal. And the convention and additional protocols empower the Red Cross societies to carry out their work. So we are rules-based. And today, as we pass, we are signaling to the international community that we accept that these are the rules of conduct in our society toward friend or foe in our relations with those, and particularly in emergency situations or in times of war. So in September 2019, in response to the devastation of Hurricane Dorian, the International Federation of Red Cross Societies launched an emergency appeal for 3.2 million Swiss francs, which translates into 3.2 million US dollars, which provided short and midterm shelter assistance along with household goods for 20,000 people for 12 months. And additional funding is available for long-term financial assistance. However, some of this assistance appears to be contingent on the execution of the agreements and the passing of these acts which we are debating today, this act we are debating today. So there is a permanent observer for the IFRC to the United Nations, and the representative for this area resides in Guyana. And as I said, the international president is seeking to come to the Bahamas. I think the visit is actually the 28th of the month, and I hope that if the House passes this measure, which I commend, that this will be in place when she comes as one of the tributes we can pay to the long associations and relationships which we've had between the Red Cross and ourselves. I want to pay tribute to the local Red Cross Society because I always recall this anecdote. One time, one of the diplomats from one of the developed countries came to see me. It was about, as minister, mostly about the fourth or fifth time during the week, to demand that the Bahamas wasn't doing this or the Bahamas doing that. So he must have seen the expression on my face when we came into the room. And I literally said, so what is it now? And he said to me, well, you wanted to be independent, so don't complain. So here we are. The local society took over the business of fundraising, made it self-supporting, and it's the Bahamians who run the local Red Cross, and one of them actually serves on the auditing committee of the international body. So I want to recognize them today at the 41st meeting of the Central Council and the 32nd Annual General Meeting of the Bahamas Red Cross Society, which was held on the 26th of June, 2025. The following persons were elected as officers to the Executive Committee of the Bahamas Red Cross Society for the period 2025 to 2027. Mr. Edison Sumner, President and Chairman of the Central Council. Mrs. Kimberly Thurston, First Vice President and Chair of the Management Committee. Mrs. Chandrish Ferguson, I think that's the pronunciation, Second Vice President. Mr. Anton Bowe, Treasurer. Ms. Kiara Johnson, Deputy Treasurer. Dr. Pina Maynard, Legal Advisor. Mrs. Ashley Pratt Larimore, National Youth Representative. And further, the following persons were elected as members of the Executive Committee. Mrs. Therese Curry, who's the immediate past president, and she's also happens to be the wife of our ambassador to the Vatican, where I'm headed in a short time. Mrs. Devine Dawkins-Roll, who's a member. Dr. Trevor Johnson, member and chair of the Disaster Risk Management Committee. Mr. Carl F. Smith, member. Mr. Vincent Wallace Whitfield, member. And the following government ministries were appointed to the Executive Committee. From the Cabinet Office, represented by Renee Davies. Ministry of Health and Wellness, represented by Undersecretary Brenda Colebrook. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who's represented by the Director General, Jerusha Ali. The Ministry of Social Services, Communication and Broadcasting, represented by the Director. Ministry of Disaster Preparedness Management, represented by Marcellus Taylor, I think there's a PS as well. Ministry of Education and Technical Vocation, represented by Michael Culmer. So further, the chairperson of the Grand Bahama Center and chairpersons of all Family Island branches serve on the executive committee. So I hope the House joins me in thanking these volunteers for the work which they do, a yeoman's work of the Bahamas Red Cross. And I want to commend the bill to the House and ask for the support of members. And I hope to get a seconder in a minute, and to say that we owe a debt of gratitude again to the Red Cross and its members for the work they do, and thank them for that work as they continue on. This is, I think, very good work which we all can commend. So thank you, Madam Speaker, and I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
The appropriate time to lay the orders? Yeah, okay. The draft orders.
The draft orders.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
What did the orders be part of?
Unfortunately, I have to depart straight after. Thank you.
No problem. No problem, Honorable Member. What are the orders to lie on the table? As many? Is there a seconder? The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Nassau Village.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd just like to thank the constituents of Nassau Village for so ably trusting their views and their opinions and supporting me being here in this honorable house to represent them. Madam Speaker, before I begin, I would just like to agree and say welcome to our Canadian friends. I had the privilege, Madam Speaker, to be a part of a delegation that viewed a beautiful parliamentary building that they are currently reconstructing. And I say that almost to foreshadow the need for us to actively look into reconstructing a beautiful edifice for ourselves in the coming years, Madam Speaker. So I welcome you on behalf of the constituency of Nassau Village, and I thank you for coming. Madam Speaker, as Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I take immense pride and honor in seconding this bill. I rise today with a profound sense of urgency, Madam Speaker, an unwavering conviction to speak in resolute support of this Bahamas Red Cross Bill 2025. Madam Speaker, this is not merely a piece of legislation, fine-tuning or amending slightly. It is a vital forward-looking measure that directly addresses the hard-won lessons of our most recent past and strategically fortifies the very foundation, Madam Speaker, of our nation's resilience in the face of future challenges. Madam Speaker, I say that to foreshadow the importance of the bill and the lessons that we have learned due to catastrophic impacts, and why the need for fit and active legislation and amendments too are so essential. Madam Speaker, this bill is about equipping our frontline humanitarian heroes with the tools they need to protect and serve every Bahamian citizen. Madam Speaker, the Bahamas Red Cross Society is not just another name on a charity roster. It is a respected institution woven in the very fabric of our national life. Madam Speaker, for generations, its dedicated volunteers and support staff have embodied the universal principles of humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, and it must be stated, Madam Speaker, they have been our nation's almost silent heroes, standing ready, often unsung, to extend a hand of comfort and aid across every island, Madam Speaker, and key of our beautiful Commonwealth. Madam Speaker, they are the embodiment of our collective conscience in times of distress. But, Madam Speaker, we only need to cast our minds not too far back, but in recent times, to the chaotic days following Hurricane Dorian in 2019. Madam Speaker, to appreciate where we're going, we have to understand where we're coming from, right? To appreciate the amendments to the Act, we must understand truly why we're pushing forward. Madam Speaker, the sheer scale of destruction was almost unimaginable. Entire communities erased, lives irrevocably altered, an immediate, overwhelming humanitarian crisis on our shores. Madam Speaker, it is in that hour of desperate need, it was the Bahamas Red Cross, working seamlessly in concert with the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, that was among the very first persons on the ground. Madam Speaker, they were delivering life-saving food, water, establishing emergency shelters, providing essential medical care, and offering the much-needed psychosocial support to thousands of our fellow Bahamians traumatized by loss. But, Madam Speaker, like I stated before, to understand where we're going, we must understand where we're coming from. Madam Speaker, in a report and assessment, amidst their heroic efforts, a stark reality emerged. We heard the reflections, Madam Speaker, by the Bahamas Red Cross, and they were candid assessments of the operational friction points that at times impeded their urgent mission. Madam Speaker, we heard about the precious delays in clearing vital relief supplies through customs, the administrative hurdles and bureaucratic hurdles, and expediting visas, Madam Speaker, for specialized international personnel whose skills were desperately needed. And the logistical, Madam Speaker, the logistical nightmares of moving essential equipment quickly between devastated islands, Madam Speaker. You see, Madam Speaker, to understand where we're going, we must appreciate where we're coming from. Madam Speaker, in moments when every second counted, time was sometimes lost to the processes, to the bureaucracy. You understand, Madam Speaker? We're not designed, and our legal framework was not designed at that particular point in time for exigencies of catastrophic humanitarian crisis. Madam Speaker, under this Progressive Liberal Party government, we took heed of what the Bahamas Red Cross and the international organization recommended. They asked for a more robust legal framework, one fine-tuned to allow them to administer the much-needed humanitarian assistance that was called for. But then, just then, Madam Speaker, while we were on the long road to recovery, the COVID-19 pandemic came in, swept across our world, unleashing an entirely new and insidious challenge. Again, Madam Speaker, the Bahamas Red Cross stepped up, transforming its operations to support public health messaging, distributing critical PPE, personal protective equipment, assisting with the national vaccination campaign, and delivering crucial food parcels and financial aid to families, Madam Speaker, plunged into poverty by the economic fallout. The challenges here were different, Madam Speaker, but no less profound. Sourcing, rapidly deploying health and much-needed health equipment, Madam Speaker, protecting volunteers on the front lines, and ensuring that their funds and resources could be marshaled instantly without bureaucratic holdups. Madam Speaker, the Red Cross once again gave some recommendations to the government of the time and spoke specifically about their treatment or their marginalization of migrants in shelters at that time, Madam Speaker. They went unheard. Madam Speaker, they asked for the government of the day to immediately fine-tune or consider fine-tuning the legal framework. Unheard, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, again, to understand and appreciate where we're going, and the beauty of the bill, we must understand where we're coming from. Madam Speaker, this Progressive Liberal Party government listened to those concerns. This Progressive Liberal Party government saw fit to start to move toward a legislative framework that adequately responds to those hard-won lessons, Madam Speaker. It was in the crucible of these back-to-back crises that the collective voice of the Bahamas Red Cross movement, both local and internationally, articulated a clear, almost urgent plea for a more robust and responsive legal framework, Madam Speaker. They called for the very immunities and privileges that would allow them to act with greater speed, efficiency, and protection when lives hung in the balance, Madam Speaker, unheard by that particular government. Madam Speaker, and this is precisely what the Bahamas Red Cross Society Amendment Bill does. And it brilliantly achieves it, Madam Speaker. This bill is a direct, data-driven response to those crucial lessons learned by formally granting immunities and privileges to both of our local Red Cross societies and international federation. We are doing much more than just simply signing a document, Madam Speaker. We are, in effect, laying down the legislative superhighway for humanitarian aid. Madam Speaker, this means expedited humanitarian access, unimpeded deployment of expertise, protection of humanitarian operations, strengthening international partnerships, Madam Speaker, with the International Federation, ensuring that when a global response is needed once again, Madam Speaker, the Bahamas can seamlessly tap into the vast network of resources, expertise, and support that the Red Cross movement commands worldwide. Madam Speaker, this is not about granting special privileges and favors to an elite few. And I repeat, this is not about granting special favors to an elite few. This is about dismantling the practical impediments that can and have hindered our national capacity for rapid and effective humanitarian response. It's about empowering institutions, Madam Speaker, that serve all Bahamians without discrimination during our most vulnerable moments. It's about learning from our experiences, Madam Speaker, and proactively building a stronger, more resilient Bahamas for generations to come. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, by adopting these provisions, the Bahamas aligns itself with international best practices and humanitarian law, just like the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Member of Parliament for Rumkey most ably laid out. In order to access resources, in order to build capacities, our legal framework must also be in compliance. Madam Speaker, it signals our profound commitment to the principles of humanitarianism that underscores the work of the Red Cross. Madam Speaker, our Prime Minister said it in a different space. The cost of inaction is too high. For failing to pass this particular vital amendment, it's simply too high. It puts too much risk towards the future and toward each and every Bahamian. It would mean leaving future disaster responses potentially hampered, leaving our most vulnerable citizens less protected, and failing to heed the clear calls, Madam Speaker, from those who are on the ground, witnessing firsthand what is needed and where the challenges are. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I urge all members of the House to rise above any partisan divide and unite in support of this particular amendment. Let us pass the bill to empower the Bahamas Red Cross, to streamline our nation's emergency response, and to send an unambiguous message, Madam Speaker, to the world that as a nation, we are committed to safety, dignity, and the well-being of every single Bahamian. Madam Speaker, this bill is an investment in our collective future, an affirmation of our shared humanity, and a necessary step that ensures when the winds of adversity blow us, the Bahamas stands ready, prepared, and resilient. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the great constituency of Nassau Village, I second this bill. Amendment.
Thank you, Honourable Member. It's been moved and seconded that the following bill be read a second time and considered. A bill for an act to amend the Bahamas Red Cross Society Act. As many. The chair recognizes the honorable member for East Grand Bahama.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I normally would say, it is an awesome privilege to be able to stand in this honorable place and to represent the good and the special people of the East Grand Bahama constituency, a constituency which, according to the last boundaries report, is the largest constituency and has the largest amount of registered voters in it, one that I am proud to be able to represent and to continue to represent. Madam Speaker, let me also echo the remarks that you made and the other members of Parliament made to welcome those from Canada as well. And Madam Speaker, let me say at first instance, we wholeheartedly support this Bahamas Red Cross Society Amendment Bill. The Bahamas Red Cross Society has been an invaluable partner throughout the years for the government. It has been a tremendous partner in all of our communities throughout the entire Bahamas. I know most certainly in Grand Bahama, where they have a very active chapter, and they have been doing a tremendous job in and out of crisis. They have been doing a tremendous job. They have never left the ground. They continue to do an awesome work, and I join with the member for Fox Hill in commending all of the members of the local Bahamas Red Cross Society. We all are indebted to them. They have a tremendous job that they are continuing to do. Madam Speaker, I also want to thank, on behalf of the opposition, the head of the local Red Cross Society, the Bahamas Red Cross Society, Mr. Edison Sumner, and his team, who met with the opposition and went over the details of the bill with us and explained its reasoning, explained what would happen, explained why it is important for them moving forward. And but basically my understanding of what they were articulating was that the Bahamas has a chapter, and the Bahamas' chapter, and I call it chapter, that's my own word, but the Bahamas has a local chapter, and there is an international federation, and the Bahamas chapter was operating in the Bahamas, and that was then, I think we adopted that from England, and now there is an international chapter, and they would want the international chapter to also be operating through the Bahamas, which would mean that they would set up the Bahamas maybe as a logistics center, that they would have an office here. The office here would be somewhat separate from the local chapter, but the International Federation would have an office here in the Bahamas. He also explained that it is an honor for them to have an office located here in the Bahamas, which should assist the local chapter in doing their job, because obviously the international chapter would be have an office here in the Bahamas. He also envisioned that there may be a possibility of a staging area here, so that if there are local disasters in the Caribbean, local disasters in the region, that they would be able to move via the Bahamas to those areas and move in a much quicker way. So we support this. I think it is a good initiative. It is important for the Red Cross. It is important for moving the Red Cross forward. And so we on this side wholeheartedly support it. We also support, Madam Speaker, the continuous work that the Red Cross has been doing in the Bahamas. They have been, as was mentioned, they have been working through Hurricane Dorian. And you know, Madam Speaker, they didn't just show up after Hurricane Dorian. They worked through Hurricane Dorian. They worked in preparation of Hurricane Dorian. They worked during Hurricane Dorian, and they worked after Hurricane Dorian. In fact, there is a in every one of the shelters, there is a representative of the Red Cross that is in the shelter, on the ground in the shelter, during the storm in the shelter, who assist with the needs and so on of the shelter. So we 100% support them. In addition, Madam Speaker, which was mentioned by the previous member, was the Red Cross also assisted during COVID. They played a major role in terms of the food program and assisting with respect to the food program. And Madam Speaker, there was a recent Auditor General's report that spoke plainly about the role of the Red Cross in the COVID food program. It confirms, in this Auditor General's report, which was tabled in the House, confirms that the Bahamas Red Cross Society, together with other NGOs, delivered for the Bahamian people, stating, and I quote, that the most vulnerable did not go hungry as a result of, and that's end quote, but I'm saying as a result of the Red Cross and other NGOs that participated in the food program. The food program, it also said, and I quote, that the program was very effective, Madam Speaker, and that these NGOs rose to the challenges under extraordinary national hardship. Yet, Madam Speaker, unfortunately, the PLP stood in this place and they declared that $10 million of the Bahamian people's money had simply vanished. They accused the program of widespread lacking in record keeping and unexplained and undocumented expenditure, and even suggested that well-established organizations such as the Red Cross and major churches were not properly involved. Madam Speaker, unfortunately, that narrative simply collapses under the weight of the audit itself. The Auditor General does not indict the Red Cross. It does not condemn the NGOs. In fact, it does the opposite. It commends them. It says that they did a very good job under difficult circumstances. So they commended the NGOs, and they also commended the Red Cross Society. Madam Speaker, while the PLP government pointed fingers and cast suspicion, the Auditor General found that the Red Cross and the NGO partners fed the nation. They fed the nation zone by zone, island by island, week after week. Madam Speaker, while the PLP government persists in telling the Bahamians that the economy is doing well, the lived reality on the ground with my constituents tells a very different story. Oh, yeah. Recently, reporting shows that roughly 7,000 families were currently registered for food assistance with the Hands for Hunger, an increase of about 2,000 families in the last year alone. Madam Speaker, I suspect that the national Red Cross numbers also shows a similar trend. However, I can say the local Grand Bahama Red Cross numbers absolutely shows a similar trend. I'm advised that they, as of a year ago, they fed 28 persons daily. So they would provide 28 meals daily. As of today, that number has doubled to 60 persons that they feed daily. Also, Madam Speaker, monthly, they give out monthly packages. And previously, a year ago, they gave out 20 packages. Now they give out 28 packages, which again is an increase. And it is only limited by their resources that they have, but they have reported that the needs have grown within these past years, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the persistent and growing need demonstrates why organizations like the Bahamas Red Cross Society, organizations like Hands for Hunger, the Bahamas Feeding Network, and other frontline charities, why they remain indispensable partners in feeding families in distress, partnerships that should be strengthened, not disparaged. If, as the Prime Minister claims, our economy is robust and households are better off, then why are thousands more families turning to NGOs like the Red Cross for basic subsistence? Why is charitable food assistance expanding when the government insists that we have made meaningful progress? This stark disparity between political rhetoric and social reality highlights not only the ongoing cost of living pressures Bahamians face, but also the added necessity of supporting and resourcing the Red Cross and other NGOs who are on the front lines feeding the hungry, while unfortunately the government's policies continue to fall short in addressing the root cause of food insecurity.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Pinewood.
It is under this government, Madam Speaker, that the contribution from the government to the Red Cross was increased from $66,000 a year to $500,000 a year.
Wow. Wow.
It was under this government that other groups, NGOs, headed by males and females, the honourable member should only look into the budget that he knows very well. So his words and the facts actually ain't lining up.
Thank you, honourable member.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the honourable member for Pinewood for making my point, which is that we must continue to support, I support what was done in terms of the increase of funding, which is absolutely needed by the Red Cross. But I also believe, that it is insufficient. And it again makes the very point that I was making, which is it is insufficient. And that instead of the government disparaging in their reports, what ought to be done is we ought to make sure that these charitable organizations have the resources to be able to assist the Bahamians that need it. That's what we are saying, Madam Speaker.
That's what you should have done. I could not agree with the member more. The difference is he came in Red Cross and other groups, NGOs that was doing a phenomenal job in lessening the burden on the Bahamas government, and we rewarded them for it. So this wasn't just goodwill. We put our money where our mouth was. I cannot argue with the member that more can be done. I'll support him on that.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
So, Madam Speaker, this stark disparity between political rhetoric and social reality highlights not only the ongoing cost of living pressures Bahamians face, but also the added necessity of supporting and resourcing the Red Cross and other NGOs who are on the front lines feeding the hungry, while the government's policies continue to fall short in addressing the root cause of food insecurity. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister's recent announcement on the VAT relief for food confirms what the opposition has said consistently for more than 2 years. From December 2021, when the PLP reapplied VAT to previously zero-rated items, and we warned that it would squeeze low-income households, through April 2022, when the F&M called for VAT to be removed again from breadbasket items, throughout 2023, when we pressed for VAT relief on healthy foods as both an economic and a public health measure, and again in 2024, as grocery and electricity costs continue to climb, our position has not wavered. Now, months before election, the government has adopted a policy that the opposition demanded a long time ago, proving that the FNM was right when we called for VAT to be removed off of food. Madam Speaker, this step is long overdue, but unfortunately, it is still insufficient. Bahamians remain burdened by high electricity bills, medication costs, and everyday household expenses, and the relief must go further if it is to be meaningful and lasting. However, Madam Speaker, what is most concerning is not merely that the relief has come late, but that it appears to have come without transparency, without analysis, and without accountability. The government has provided, to the public at least, they have provided no clear assessment of what the average Bahamian household will actually save, no explanation on the assumptions used, and an insufficient indication of the impact on the country's fiscal position. These are not academic questions, Madam Speaker. They are fundamental to public trust. Time and time again, this administration announces changes through headlines rather than evidence, leaving Bahamians in the dark about both the benefits and the consequences. Without clear answers,
The chair recognizes the
The
Honorable
member cannot be duplicitous in this manner. He says that they called, he said that they called for us to do just this, and that we've done what they have demanded. This is his claim. They only were demanding removal from breadbasket items, but he has escalated it, that they demanded removal from everything. And now, Madam Speaker, he is suggesting that somehow it is done by a sideman, it is done without proper thinking, it is done without proper explanation. A policy that they say they demanded and has been delivered. Madam Speaker, it is disingenuous to say we demanded this and now we're questioning why you did it. They didn't demand it. They only talked about breadbasket items, the 25 items. This is on everything, all the good food. And they cannot now say, we did what they said, and somehow the public should distrust us. He should understand that that means the public should distrust them as well.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Madam Speaker, two things. First, we did call for VAT to be removed of all healthy food. I did it, and all the members on this side did it. Years ago. We did it. Just to say that. But secondly, Madam Speaker, the member for Freetown misses the point. The point is not just that you are making a decision, but the point is that the people who you make the decision for have a right to understand how you came to make that decision. It is about being transparent in governance. The principle is you should understand, the people should understand what process you went through, what data you went through to be able to make the decision that you made. It is our right to understand that. And Madam Speaker, they unfortunately just do not get it. They just do not get it. They do not get that if you make a decision, for people, that you also have a right, to understand the process that you went through, which data you went through, to be able to make that decision, Madam Speaker. We are not faulting you in making that decision, but we are saying, show the explanation, show the data, have the Ministry of Finance explain to the public what they went through to make that decision.
You're looking for a bumper sticker.
The chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Freetown.
Becoming of the person who acted in the Ministry of Finance on the last occasion. The Minister of Economic Affairs explained the matter. At the end of the day, Madam Speaker, the Minister of Economic Affairs, when we took the minimum wage and increased it, and they said, how could we do that? Because it's going to put a lot of businesses out of business. And we were confident in the figures, and they were right. Everything we do financially, economically, they question. The suggestion, and I say of the person who acted in the Ministry of Finance, is that he's really denigrating the same persons who served him when he was in the Ministry of Finance, who remain in the Ministry of Finance today. That's the point of fact. And so, Madam Speaker, we have to be very careful. I know that we're in silly season, Madam Speaker, but we have to be very careful when we say things that denigrate hard-working public servants.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, in no way, I have the utmost respect, and I want to make this point very, very clear, so that everybody can understand, but lucidly clear, so that everybody can understand. Which is, I have the utmost respect for those officers who serve in the Ministry of Finance. They know that. The utmost respect for them. But, Madam Speaker, again, the point is a different point. It is obligated, the policymakers are obligated to explain to the public, which they have failed to do.
Yes.
That's the point that I'm making, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am saying... Madam Speaker,
it right. That's it right there.
Madam
That's it
Speaker,
right there. That's it right there.
what I am saying, Madam Speaker,
I agree with that.
what I am saying, Madam Speaker, is what the public has said, what we on this side have said, is that this government is operating in the dark. The policymakers are not explaining and are not being transparent about what is happening, Madam Speaker. And it is a consistent behavior. Madam Speaker,
The chair recognizes you.
I only got but 5 more minutes.
That's okay. That's all right. The clock is stopped. The clock is stopped. Madam Speaker, what I find to be very disingenuous with the member for East Grand Bahama is the fact that when he sat in the government side, they increased VAT from 7.5% to 12% on wholesome foods. They made, listen here, I'm here, give me an opportunity, sir. I know, quiet down a little bit. Be respectful, young man. You increased VAT from 7.5% to 12% on wholesome foods. You turn around and you zero-rated VAT on bread basket items, which is basically white sugar, white flour, white bread, butter, fats, all of the foods. No, all of the foods. No, all of the foods. That's what you don't realize. The Bahamas, it's not racist. They're not good for you. It's obviously you don't understand nutrition.
Members,
You don't understand nutrition. When you see white grits, white flour, you bleach it. Let me finish. I'm not finished. The point that I'm trying to make is we all know from the STEP survey that the Bahamas has one of the highest incidents of chronic non-communicable diseases in the country. The highest incident of cardiovascular disease, the third highest incidence of obesity, and one of the highest incidents of renal failure in the Caribbean. By reducing VAT on these food items that are poor nutritional items and increase VAT on wholesome foods, you push the Bahamian population to purchase these poor quality foods. The reality is, let me finish. You could stand to your feet and talk about it. Between me and you, we are addressing the issues in the country that is associated with public health issues that is brought on by poor policies that you put in place when you were on this side of the fence. The reality is that we have given the Bahamian population the benefit of reducing VAT to 0% on wholesome foods, giving them the opportunity to choose wisely.
Madam Speaker, it is about time. But Madam Speaker, I just want to also remind the House and the public, Madam Speaker, while the member for Tall Pines reminded us that the Free National Movement, what the Free National Movement did with respect to that, we also have to remind the public and remind the House that it was the PLP who introduced VAT. 7.5%. They introduced it to 7.5%.
It's their baby. It's their baby. It's their baby.
You increased it. You added it. You started it. Yes.
You study.
And Madam Speaker, what we also call for What we also call for, Madam Speaker,
Members.
is for them to take VAT off of medication, Madam Speaker. That also should be done, Madam Speaker. Take VAT off medication, Madam Speaker.
Speaker, point of order. The reality is,
The chair recognizes
the
you as a
reality
member
is,
for all parties.
we reduced VAT on medication, but this is the point I'd like to make for you, East Grand Bahama. In the piece of legislation to repeal the National Health Insurance 2016 Act and to replace it with the 2025 Act, we have moved a chronic drug prescription plan that was able to address 44,000 people in the country. And in this particular piece of legislation, or that suite of legislation that I presented, we are now opening up the accessibility to drugs for chronic non-communicable diseases from 44,000 people to the 160,000 people who have NHI, who suffer from chronic non-communicable diseases, and will be able to access the medications free of charge. Listen to me. It got to be a...
Madam Speaker, I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. And Madam Speaker, I do, and just before the member for Tall Pines, I do have constituents who continue to complain.
Control what you could control.
They continue to complain.
Control what you could control. That's you.
About the cost of medication. So the issues that we are talking about today are very real issues. And you know they are very real issues that our constituents are facing. And what we are saying is an added assistance for those persons who continue to complain about the cost of medication is just to remove VAT off of medication. Take it off medication. That's what we are saying, Madam Speaker.
Speaker, as the Minister of Health and Wellness, someone who is constantly in the fight, addressing many challenges that face our healthcare systems, including the logistical challenges of moving medications throughout our archipelago. I want the Bahamian people to understand that the policy decision this administration is making by repealing the National Health Insurance Act and repealing the Chronic Drug Prescription Act that was put in place by your former administration, which was a good act. We are expanding it. We're expanding it so Bahamians who suffer from chronic non-communicable diseases can have the medications they deserve free of charge. The second thing that I want to make is many people don't really understand the burden that chronic non-communicable diseases is having on our tertiary healthcare systems. It is overwhelming. It is one of the major ticket items that is consuming my budget as the Minister of Health. I want you to know that you're speaking about VAT on medications. We're speaking about providing the medications to the Bahamian populations, those suffering from chronic non-communicable diseases, free of charge. And the suite of bills that I laid a few months ago is leading the way in order for us to accomplish that. That's what this administration has done. We have responded to the data. We have responded to the evidence-based information that clearly guides policy-making decisions in the Ministry of Health in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance.
Thank you very much, Tall Pines. Now take VAT off medication. I love yellow grits. and Madam Speaker, as I take my seat, there are some relevant questions, Madam Speaker, that I wish to leave, which are these exemptions intended to be a temporary cost of living relief? No. Let me clarify. Let me clarify. the VAT off of food, the VAT off of food that has been announced. The question that I wish to raise is, are they intended as temporary cost of living relief, or are they part of a long-term structural tax reform? The public would want to know. Also, Madam Speaker, and what are the concrete steps that the government will be taking to offset the loss of revenue through spending restraint, efficiency, and reprioritization? Truth be told, Madam Speaker, truth be told, at the height of the cost of living crisis, VAT really should not have been imposed and should not have been added, 10% should not have been added onto breadbasket items. It should not have been added on medication. 10% should not have been added on baby care products. 10% should not have been added on feminine hygiene products in the first place. And the government should have never removed the higher VAT of 12% on multi-million-dollar real estate deals, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, we support the Bahamas Red Cross Society Amendment Bill. It is something that is good for the Bahamas. We on this side support it. However, Madam Speaker, we must do even more. It is not just about passing this legislation. We must do even more to support the Red Cross and to support other NGOs that are on the front line of the fight for food security, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Pinewood.
This debate is going on in further reference to East Grand Bahama as we discussed the Red Cross. The figure that the government came up with was a direct request that was made by the President, Mr. Sumner, to myself when I met with the Red Cross at the first meeting I had as Minister of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting, and also with the Minister of Finance. And so there is an ongoing meeting, dialogues and what they asked for was exactly what they got, dollar for dollar. Their position was, after Dorian and the role that the Red Cross play in our society, which on both sides we agree, that they made a request that the government made that increase from $66,000 to $500,000, and in the very next budget, we gave them exactly what they asked for. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy.
Thank you, member. As many? The chair recognizes the honourable member for Central Grand Bahama.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I must say I was sitting down enjoying the back and forth chopping between the FNM and the PLP about who was responsible for VAT and who did the 10% and the 12%. I'm here to say that the COI, the party that I lead in this place, we had nothing to do with VAT. So people are coming in with a clean slate. Let them continue to blame one another. The party that I lead had nothing to do with VAT. So everybody's awake. Everybody's awake now. Everybody's awake now.
Mr. Chairman, Central Grand Bahama was a cabinet minister. And unlike Mr. Chairman, the late member for Golden Isles, who said he wasn't having none of this and resigned, Central Grand Bahama stayed on the train all the way to the station.
Mr. Chairman, he oughtn't to be permitted to say that. If he has said, if he wishes to say, Mr. Chairman, if he wishes to say that, he ought to say that on the road to Damascus, he was knocked off his horse and blinded, and he now sees the error of his ways that he participated in when he was in the cabinet.
Boy, everyone is wide awake now. So it's no longer back and forth. It's a tag team. But that's all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. And this is not the Amacor today. I was cold in Freeport this morning, so I put on my three-piece also to deal with the weather. And I made it also cold now. So we're twinning today. Yeah.
That's what they call a special.
This is Yabacor special today. Yes, Yabacor special.
2 for 1.
I'm a convert. He got me. Madam Speaker, sorry, Mr. Deputy. Before I get into my speech, I want to just mention some housekeeping matters in my constituency. I want to advise the residents of Williams and Russelltown that the last solar light was installed at the Barton facilities at the end of Russelltown this week. And we also erected the high mast poles to receive the surveillance cameras, because in the area where the bathroom is located, a lot of illegal dumping takes place. So those poles are now in position, and in partnership with the Pittance Point Township, we'll be putting up those surveillance cameras in short order to safeguard against illegal activities and also to cut down on dumping. Additionally, we have installed some 7 additional infrastructure to receive cameras throughout the Pittance Point Township in partnership with Ms. Nakia Hunt and our local government board. And again, with these cameras being in place, the illicit dumping, hopefully we'll see a decrease in that, along with other illegal activities. And we know we spend a lot of money on bulk storage, bulk pickup. And before you clean up the area, they dump it right back. It's almost like you empty your trash can, and it goes right. I saw a special with Yamako again on TV this week addressing the same thing. You know, you can't clean up fast enough. So with these cameras being in place, we can now identify who these culprits are, and we can indeed bring them to justice. Mr. Deputy, I also want to advise Central Grand Bahama that we're having a town meeting on Wednesday the 28th of January at the YMTA, dealing with land justice. So anyone who have issues with crown land, generation properties, any form of land injustice, we will be having representation from BOC, Bahamas Institute of STEM Foundation, CSB, meaning Civil Society Bahamas, BALS, Bahamas Association of Land Surveyors, and the Pittance Point Township. So any issues dealing with land, we're asking the constituency to come out at the YMTA and have your matters addressed. Mr. Deputy, I rise to speak about, and I'd also like to welcome our guest from Canada. Thank you very much for visiting with us. And Canada always holds a special place in my heart. It's the place where I first competed in the Commonwealth Games in Victoria, Vancouver, in 1994. And I also retired from track and field. I had Linford Christie in the ropes. He had to run hard to beat me. I have the videos to show it. And I also retired in Canada in 2001 at the Edmonton World Championship Games. So I started my international track and field career in Canada, and I also ended it in Canada. Did you ever make the team? Mr. Deputy, be careful, be careful, be very careful, be careful. Be very careful, be very careful. Mr. Deputy, that one over. I didn't see you on the team. You didn't make you didn't make it past the heats. Mr. Deputy, I rise to speak about a very important bill today that addresses humanity. But again, I cannot speak about humanity in isolation, Mr. Deputy. I will speak about humanity, of course, with accountability. Mr. Deputy, I rise in this honorable house on behalf of the resilient, hardworking, and ever hopeful people of Central Grand Bahama. I rise to speak, Mr. Deputy, to a piece of legislation that is, on its surface, deal with legal definitions and international protocols. But at its heart, it touches the very lifeline of our disaster-prone archipelago, the Bahamas Red Cross Society Amendment Bill 2025. Mr. Deputy, for the residents of Central Grand Bahama, who I represent, the Red Cross is not just a logo on a vest or a line in the budget. It is a truck that arrived when the waters of Dorian were still receding. The volunteer who handed out hot meals when the power was out and the water was off for weeks. It is a symbol of hope. I'm sure, Mr. Deputy, Grand Bahama, and particularly Abaco, where you're from, can attest to that. You know, Mr. Deputy, I was first introduced to the Red Cross as a little boy growing up in Waterkey. A lot of missionaries used to visit Waterkey, and a lot of church people coming over. So when I heard they say the Red Cross is coming, I was a little 4-year-old. I thought it was just another church group. Didn't know any different. But I remember Mrs. Lottie Tynes visiting Waterkey on a regular basis, and she would visit with my grandmother, who was the local island representative. So that's where I first was introduced to the Red Cross through Mrs. Tynes, connecting with my grandmother, Florence Hill. And one of the things that I always look forward to every year was the big, grand Red Cross fair at the Gombe land site. Every year, every community in Grand Bahama and representatives from Nassau would travel to Freeport for a major fundraiser, which was the Red Cross Fair. And in doing so, I remember going with Mama. They raised plenty of money, enough money to fund all of their programs and to, of course, be more viable. And of course, it also spoke to their sustainability. Mr. Deputy, as we move to amend the Bahamas Red Cross Society Act, we must ensure that in our haste to be internationally compliant, we do not lose the local accountability that my constituents demand. The bill before us, Mr. Deputy, seeks to do two primary things. It grants the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Federation specific immunities and privileges under the agreement signed in 2022, and it extends to our Bahamas Red Cross Society the immunities and privileges typically reserved for international organizations under Chapter 14 of the law. Mr. Deputy, from a national perspective, there are clear benefits. The bill addresses disaster efficiency. And of course, East Grand Bahama and of course, Nassau Village spoke to this earlier. By granting the Federation legal status and immunities, we remove the red tape that often slows down international aid. When the next storm looms, we need the Federation's global resources to move into Freeport and other areas without being bogged down by the customary days of bureaucratic hurdles. The bill addresses financial stability. The bill allows for duty-free imports of furniture and effects for officers and crucial equipment for the organization. For the Grand Bahama branch, which recently saw the return of its fundraising board, which is well attended this year, after 20 years of absence, every dollar saved on taxes is a dollar that can go towards the Meals on Wheels programs in Lewis Yard, in Hunters, Williamstown, and throughout Central Grand Bahama. Mr. Deputy, we are addressing the global recognition today. Elevating the society to the status of an international organization under the International Organization Immunities and Privileges Act signals to the world that the Bahamas is a professional partner in global humanitarian efforts. But of course, Mr. Deputy, there's no perfect bill. There are some red flags, some caution flags that I want to highlight. As I walk through the streets of Grand Bahama, from the outskirts of Freeport to the heart of the community, people are asking the question, I also saw this in the bill, and they're saying that they're tired of the word immunity. This raises an issue of accountability. Clause 3 of this bill grants the Federation immunity from suits and legal process. Immunity from suit and legal process. while the doctrine of functional necessity justifies this for high-level diplomacy, the small man in Grand Bahama is asking the question, and it may be trivial, what if a Red Cross vehicle is involved in an accident? What level of immunity are we talking about? What if a local contractor is left unpaid? What if the immunity, if we have immunity, where is my justice? We must ensure, Mr. Deputy and colleagues, that immunity does not become impunity. It's very important. Mr. Deputy, there is a fear that this bill makes the Bahamas Red Cross a subsidiary of an international giant rather than a Bahamian-led institution. The people of Central Grand Bahama wants to know that their local volunteers, their sons and daughters, will still have the final word on how aid is distributed on our island. Mr. Deputy, we are debating privileges, and I promise, as usual, not to be too long. Privileges for the international officers. Yet, our local residents in Grand Bahama are protesting a 6.3 power rate hike and struggling in some instances with VAT on certain essential items and services. It's a hard pill to swallow when we grant tax exemptions to international entities, as important as this is, while the local mom and pop shops and other small businesses in Grand Bahama are being taxed to the max. Mr. Deputy, Grand Bahama has been through fire. We've been through the storm, I've witnessed it all. We have, Mr. Deputy, and this is often said in this House and throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Grand Bahama is a resilient second city. Mr. Deputy, we've heard that for too long. We now will no longer wish to be referred to as a resilient city, but as a prosperous city. If this bill is passed, it must come with a commitment to decentralize. We don't want the immunities to stay in Nassau while the responsibilities are dumped on a struggling Grand Bahama branch. Mr. Deputy, we want to see the Federation's new legal status used to establish a regional response hub, and I believe East Grand Bahama spoke about that in his discussion with the local Red Cross, Mr. Sumner and his team in Nassau, creating jobs and training for our youth. Mr. Deputy, as I close, I'm simply making a call for balance. The residents of Central Grand Bahama support the spirit of the Red Cross. We recognize the need for international cooperation, but we urge this government to include safeguards. Please put clear grievance mechanisms in place. Ensure there's a transparent way for Bahamians to settle disputes with the Society of Federation, despite these new immunities that we will grant them today. Mr. Deputy, let us focus on local empowerment. Use these tax savings to mandate increased investments in the Family Island branches, particularly in my hometown of Grand Bahama. And yes, I am Grand Bahama-centric. Let us pass a bill that protects the helpers, but never at the expense of the people that they are meant to help. I repeat that. Let us pass a bill that protects the helpers, but never at the expense of the people they are meant to help. Mr. Deputy, with those few words, Central Grand Bahama remains watchful, and while I rest in support of this bill, I have endured my first tag team in this Parliament, and I believe that's the first of many to come. Central Grand Bahama hereby rests in support of this bill with the recommendations.
Thank you, Honourable Member. As many. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Pinewood.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy. I intend to be very, very brief. Mr. Deputy, I stand on behalf of the wonderful people of the Pinewood constituency who have chosen me to represent their interests in this place. Mr. Deputy, I am in total support of this piece of legislation. I commend the Red Cross for the work they have done, for the work they continue to do, and for the work that they are doing. Mr. Deputy, with regards to Central Grand Bahama, I could assure him, as it relates to the Red Cross, although be it, the Bahamas would have a franchise, because you know the Red Cross is international. And one of the things that I realize is that whenever there are emergencies created, we had Dorian, that monster storm that wreaked havoc on Abaco and on Grand Bahama. Whether it be locally or internationally, there are organizations and NGOs that private citizens, private businesses, and international businesses and international individuals will have no problem contributing to its cause because of the work that it does throughout the world, not in the Bahamas. And so, while on the face of it, I hear your concern, but I think that from the Red Cross have been operating in this country, I don't think we have had any such complaint about malfeasance, monies not being accounted for, or the conduct of individuals associated with the Red Cross. So I think the Red Cross have earned their right for the privileges that they have been granted. And sometimes we must temper down, because Dorian showed when you need certain agencies, you know there will be no issue if the Red Cross is leading a charge with regards to bringing relief to affected citizens.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Central.
Thank you very much, Member for Pinewood. Just want to make sure that I'm clear. I totally respect the Red Cross, wasn't pointing any fingers at them, and they've totally gained the respect of the land and bread. And like I said, I grew up as a little child with my friends in the Red Cross, so I know exactly what they are good for. But however, I'm just saying, you can never be too careful, just making sure that our people are protected, because unlike the Red Cross, I can tell you in Grand Bahama, we have some instances of disaster capitalists.
As the Minister of Responsibility, I'm quite aware. We're discussing the Red Cross, and there was no issue with the Red Cross. And that was being debated today. Mr. Deputy, I remember my father was an active member at the Red Cross Fair, while me and Marco City may have gone for different reasons. My father and his grouping manned the bunny hop. Some Barnabas, you're too young to know about the Red Cross Fair and the reasons why young people went at the time. But the entity itself, and as I said early on with Mr. Edison Sumner in our first briefing, he was quite detailed. I could tell you it is one entity. They submit their reports. Their reports are detailed and supplied with their receipts. It's always audited, and it's always on time. And so I commend Mr. Sumner, as Craig Gomez and those before him, in the work that the Red Cross have done, is doing, and continue to do. And social services have a partner in the Red Cross, because it's not just about taking from them. There are times that we are in need of their assistance, professional assistance, and they could provide us with their expertise in the area of natural disasters, or just helping and mobilizing on the ground. And so, Mr. Deputy, as promised, this is going to be a very short one. I commend this piece of legislation. I thank the Red Cross for the work that they are doing. Pinewood rest, Mr. Deputy.
Thank you, honourable member. As many, the chair recognizes the honourable member for St. Barnabas.
What did he say?
Stick to the script. Stick to the script. Stick to the script.
No, we got to talk, but that's a little bit more. Right? So, thank you very much, Mr. Deputy. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I rise on behalf of the good people of St. Barnabas, the people of Coconut Grove, Big Pond, Black Village, Rock Crusher, and the Oakfield community, just to let the people of St. Barnabas know that let the people of St. Barnabas know that now a piece of, in the next general election, a piece of Centerville, all the way up to DeVoe Street is now in St. Barnabas, and pieces of, and Poland Division 3 out of St. Barnabas is now in Fort Charlotte. And so just take note of those changes as we prepare for the next general election, where the member for Marco City will be the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and the Free National Movement will be the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Mr. Deputy, it continues to be a privilege to rise in this House on behalf of the people that I represent and the Bahamian people at large to discuss these very important pieces of legislation, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, as has been justified and has been the theme, or one of the themes all morning, would like to attach myself with the sentiments of welcoming persons who are visiting from Canada. A welcome to you. And incidentally, Mr. Deputy Speaker, my youngest brother, who lives in Toronto now, but of course he's here now for our father's funeral this week, went to St. Mary's University and decided to live in Toronto. He's there with his wife, who is a Bahamian, and he was just recognized. He works for the accounting firm of Stern Cohen, and he was just recognized as one of the top accountants in Toronto. So I want to acknowledge my younger brother. He learned everything from me. But just very proud of him. Just very proud of him. I often say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, you know, when you can get a bachelor's degree in mathematics, I always say, boy, you're pretty smart. So, and he's a CPA now, so I do congratulate him for all the work he's put in and his new life in Toronto. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, you know, these debates from week to week, they're just all very interesting, you know, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And you just have to listen closely from the get-go, and you would be astonished if you just listen closely at the hypocrisy that seeps in very quickly in these debates. And I'm glad you agree, Angliston. I'm glad you agree, Angliston. I'm glad you agree, Angliston, right? And I mean, it's unbelievable when you hear some of the things it said and you run that parallel with what members have said before. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this debate today on the Red Cross and related issues and related matters is a very important one. As has been said, and again, is justified, the role and the work of the Red Cross across the world, across the continents, but in particular here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, is very important work. And it continues to emphasize the importance of volunteerism in terms of our response to natural disasters and the challenges that you have up and down various societies around the world. And the Red Cross has consistently always been there. And so when persons are running away from disaster and running away from emergencies, the Red Cross is one of those persons who are always running too. And so they should continue to be commended for the tremendous work that they do on behalf of persons affected by not only disasters, but those persons who are very vulnerable, the least, the lost, and the left behind, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I read recently that the Red Cross said that a disaster happens every 8 minutes. That there's a disaster every 8 minutes. So over the course of this morning, extending off that, a number of disasters, unfortunately, have already happened for the morning. And there's no doubt in our minds, reassure, that the Red Cross is responding to it somewhere, Mr. Deputy. But, Mr. Deputy, the back and forth, Mr. Deputy, about NGOs and so forth, I find it remarkable that the government is here today, along with talking about the contents and the substantive part and the technical parts of this bill, but this love, this newfound love that they have now for NGOs, when it was this government, as the member for East Grand Bahama talked about, that spoke about NGOs disparagingly at the beginning of this administration, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
I was not in the House when East Grand Bahama made that misrepresentation. I'm in the House now, Mr. Chairman. The member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador pointed out that there was, in some instances, lack of accounting. He pointed out that in one instance, when an inquiry was sent, an NGO returned money, and he simply said that the activity, given its financial size, had to be properly accounted for. That's not disparaging anyone. To say that you should account for public funds that were given to you is not to disparage an NGO. And as the member for Pinewood has pointed out, the NGO that is the Red Cross routinely audits. And to suggest that we say, we are coming after this, we see this set of money having been spent, account for it, to say that some people sent money back is not to disparage an NGO.
Chair recognizes the honourable member for St. Barnabas.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy. Mr. Deputy, I present this article, Tribune 2023, titled, NGO went on a spending spree with food money. NGO went on a spending spree with food money. Right? Okay. Okay. I never said.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
If that is the NGO that bought things other than food, like vehicles, then that's not disparaging. That is saying you're spending on things other than what you get it for. This habit, Mr. Chairman, of reading a headline that often bears no resemblance to the content of the story, we would say breaks the rules. Because what you adopt from an article are facts. And that is not done here. That is a headline. Now, if he would wish to articulate and set out at length this spending spree, and then if he would like to say to the Bahamian people that that is good use of money to feed people, then, you see, Sinan, see how you do it? If, then. So if all of that is so, then, Mr. Chairman, he can hold up this headline and say that that is disparaging. If he says that all of this is this NGO bought food, but he is holding us up to say that's disparaging an NGO when he knows well the contents of what that allegation is based on. And so that is misleading, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy. Mr. Deputy, PM claims 10 million vanished in food program, Mr. Deputy. October 23rd, 2025, Food Task Force accounted for funds, auditor finds. So the Auditor General found that all monies were accounted for with the food program. And still to this day, the government has not offered an apology for how they lambasted and assaulted persons involved in the program, Mr. Deputy Speaker. They've not apologized. Yeah, have not apologized. The Auditor General, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So on this road to Damascus, the member for Freetown was talking about this Damascus experience. This government is filled with that experience. And you know, the member for Freetown who got up talking about this Damascus experience, and I won't hang up on this, but it's similar, an analogy, when they came with the immigration bill, right? When they came with the immigration bill, and all of a sudden now they have this approach with immigration. But the member for Freetown one time ago was talking about flogging immigrants and assaulting immigrants in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. His words, that if they believe that we would torture and kill them, they would act differently. So talking about a road to Damascus, Mr. Deputy Speaker, but this is the point, Madam Speaker. But there ain't been no point on it. That's right, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker. Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
Mr. Chairman, I was just, the English would say, I was gobstruck and was sat down listening to this being patched up, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you know, I don't want them to say that I'm being overly linguistic with them, but I only did that with St. Anne's, and Marco City would like this. I only did that with St. Anne's because he was once my student. But when one talks about if and then, I used to remember we had to sit down in school and diagram those sentences if anybody else is old enough to know that. And so if St. Barnabas is saying that somebody saying, if this happens, then the people would do that, is an assertion that you should do that. This is Parliament, Mr. Chairman. This is actually Parliament. And for the other side to say, we make laws containing words that a court has to enforce, that we should not be careful with what we say, because we are in fact legislating, then, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I don't know, Mr. Chairman, I don't know where we go to from here. The simple fact of the matter, Mr. Chairman, is this. They need to approach this where this is an act, this is a bill. Carmichael says it. You look at the words, and that is what we do in this place. If they do not wish to do that in this place, Mr. Chairman, we just sit and watch and at an appropriate time address. He's a chairman. The Deputy Speaker is an elected person.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, you know, the Damascus experience that the member for Freetown constantly talks about, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I'm going to continue to remind the member for Freetown that he's been down, that has had this Damascus experience on a number of issues, Mr. Deputy Speaker, but flog the immigrants. Yes. Flog the immigrants from the member for Freetown. Flog the immigrants. My Lord. Mr. Deputy Speaker. My Lord. Mr. Deputy Speaker. You were helping? You were standing helping? Mr. Indefensible. Indefensible.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
Mr. Chairman, and just so, again, St. Barnabas would know, at the beginning of the session, we elected a speaker and a deputy speaker. And Mr. Chairman, don't get me mixed up. Mr. Chairman, and so that people will understand that I am not being disrespectful, the member for North Eleuthera is the Deputy Speaker of this House. He is not available to replace the Speaker, and so as Chairman, you are replacing the Speaker. Mr. Chairman, again, I took St. Barnabas through the if and then. If he wishes to attribute to me the actual if and then statement, that's fine. If he wishes to do that, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that that be stricken because he read exactly what I said, which is if, then.
Honorable member. St. Barnabas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, also, I appreciated this morning about what the member for East Grand Bahama said as well, as we talked about, just again, the whole issue of the work of the Red Cross and their response to the most vulnerable in our society across the length and breadth of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and their history is littered, if you will, Mr. Deputy Speaker, with times that the Red Cross came to the aid of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and the Bahamian people, and we will continue to be ever grateful. Mr. Deputy, this issue of the most vulnerable in our society and those that come to the aid of those that are vulnerable, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I cannot help but think, Mr. Deputy, about the fact that 7,000 Bahamian families are needing food assistance in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And so this government's posture, as it relates to the vulnerable in our country, has been shameless, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This recent announcement about the VAT savings and the government foregoing $15 million, $15 million, when you consider that the government has spent $60 million on travel, $280 million on consultants, that the government said that they have foregone $15 million, and what we found that what that amounts to, when you think about the 118,000 households, is an $11 savings, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Right? $11, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Now, the government doesn't want to hear that. The government doesn't want to hear that, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that what they have promoted as relief for the Bahamian people and the most vulnerable society, most vulnerable in society, has not amounted to that. $11, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Electricity costs is going up. Everything is going up under this government, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And the truth is, as much as the government try as they may, try as they must from their vantage point to convince the Bahamian people that they have made things better for them, easier for them, the reality of the Bahamian people and their lives that they live every day is that it is not happening, Mr. Deputy Speaker. The Bahamian people are offended that the government continues to say, don't worry about the pain that you're feeling. Don't worry about the stress that you're feeling every day going to the grocery store and trying to take care of your bills. Don't worry about what you feel. What you feel ain't what you feel, because we are doing all we can. We are doing all we can, and the truth is it's not lining up. In their world, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in their world where they believe they are doing everything for the Bahamian people, the world for the average Bahamian, things are tougher, that it's harder to get groceries, that it's harder to pay their electricity bills. Electricity bills are like mortgage payments now. It is harder, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and they put it squarely, as they should, at the foot of this government, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
Mr. Breadbasket was advocating for a reduction on 25 items, 10%. What they did when they came to power, as was said, is they increased VAT. If they didn't think we should have VAT, they could have reduced it to 0 on everything. but they increased it to 12% on wholesome food. And when, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Mr. Chairman, we reduced it to 10% on everything, they were saying we were unduly pressuring the Bahamian people because we put 10% on breadbasket items. And that's the relief they were calling for. Because you will remember, Mr. Chairman, that we also introduced price control immediately and customs reductions. So if, Mr. Chairman, they were saying that 10% on 25 items was an undue burden, how is it that they're saying, Mr. Chairman, when we reduce it to 0 from 12% on all unprepared food, that that is not a substantial saving? It cannot be that 10% on 25 items is an undue burden, and reducing from 12% to 0% on everything is suddenly not a relief. Those things do not go together, and so what the member for St. Barnabas is saying is again misleading. Misleading.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, from this entire debate began on VAT early on in the administration. I took it as a feather in my cap, as we all did as an opposition, when they would call me the breadbasket man, because I was fighting on behalf of the poor people of this country. So we will accept that as a collective, that you have finally done that we were voting for, and I will accept the label of breadbasket man if you will accept, as you said with your words, the label of flogger. So I will accept that. I will accept that, Mr. Deputy Speaker. But again, just to reiterate, the VAT, implementation of VAT was under the Progressive Liberal Party. VAT is their baby. And in 2018, again, when the Free National Movement reduced VAT on breadbasket items, the government, yes, that's a fact. That's a fact, Prime Minister. But this is my story, Prime Minister.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Cat Island, Ronki, and San Salvador.
I know you rely on the old adage that it's not good to disturb a good story, your story, with the truth. Right? But let me just disturb your story a bit. It is agreed that VAT was introduced under the Progressive Liberal Party. It was a generally accepted fact that our tax base was very narrow, and too narrow to sustain our economy. That was a generally accepted fact on both sides, right? And in fact, we only took up from where the previous administration left off to carry it forward. There are other tax initiatives that were being mouthed: sales tax, income tax, corporate tax, and all of these things were under our thoughtful and deliberate consideration. And listening to the advice and looking at the fundamentals of this economy, it was decided that we will go with the value-added tax. Again, as I indicated, the introduction of tax is a bitter pill for many and all. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that it was already, by that time, it was understood that the tax base, we don't have income tax. We were already at the border on customs duty. And that was insufficient to take care of what we call a growing population, a growing demand for public services, a growing, like the hospitals and our educational system. And that was what was accepted. Now, it was introduced by the Progressive Party. We did not introduce it at the recommended number, and we did not adopt the numbers that was being mooted by the previous administration. They too was thinking about coming in at what they were calling the regional average. Would have been anywhere around 15 to 17%. But no, we came in, recognized it's a new tax. We came in at 7.5%. That's what was implemented at. So that's the truth. The PLP brought in VAT. We brought it in at 7.5%. We got fired, and we were replaced by yourselves. Immediately thereafter, it was reduced. You increased it to 12%, a whopping 60% of what we introduced. Now, if you want to have some merit in the argument that we introduced it the first time, and therefore we should carry that VAT blame, as it were, why did you increase that same what I call blame-worthy initiative to 12% by 60%, right? That's what you have to grapple with, right? Now, bringing it to 12% in our mandate to the Bahamian people, when we put forward our Blue Change for Change, we indicated that we will be reducing VAT. Did we not? We did. Right. Yes, you excluded in the increase, you excluded bread basket items. They number about how many? 20 or 10?
Less than that. 12.
Right? So no. Let's get. I will put the truth in, and then you go to your story. Now, at the end, the truth. I'm going to get to your point. See, because you reduce VAT on. You took VAT off the bread basket items, all right? But you increase VAT on all of the other items, everything else, to 12%. Right. So what I want you to appreciate, when we took office, we said we're going to reduce VAT. Right? We reduced VAT to 10%. Across the board. And yes, we accept that bread basket items were added to that. So yes, VAT was put on bread basket items. But again, no, let me tell the truth, man, the facts. No, let me get the facts, man. Let's get the facts out here.
Reduction to 10%.
The facts here.
The member is still on his seat. For me, he's clear. The member is still giving his.
You invited.
One member on the feet. He's still on his feet.
See, like I say, I know your story. Your story.
Recognize, don't remember for Cat Island.
Your story. I understand. I understand you feel. Your story is being interrupted by the truth. Right? It's a good story. It's a good story. We're being interrupted by the truth. And here we did. So we, being responsible stewards of this compassion. No, we get to that. But more so responsible stewards of the fiscal affairs of this country. We recognize that we, and I continued my promise, was to lower VAT. I lowered, and I did that. So let me finish, and then you come back with your story.
Only one man at a time.
Yes.
One member at a time.
Because many Bahamians feel that while your government has reduced VAT, that you increase taxes in other places.
Like where?
Increase taxes in other places, increase government fees on many different things, Prime Minister. So the net effect that the tax burden has increased, Prime Minister. There are people who are saying, Prime Minister, that they would rather.
Honourable member, you asked the gentleman, the Prime Minister, the member a question. Please permit him to answer.
See, look. I'm hearing your stories, and I'm hearing your narratives, and hopefully the Bahamian people will, through your din of noise, will hear what the truth actually is. right, to your din of noise, that they will hear what the truth really is. So we reduce VAT. In the first instance, 5% on groceries. Again, being responsible stewards, because if when you're reducing VAT, you have to consider where that revenue is going to be replaced. And that was replaced, because we improved the management of our fiscal affairs. Right? We improved the management of fiscal affairs. Hence, we were able to drop it to 5%. We are now able to take it off altogether because, again, of good stewardship and because of how we have stabilized the country, stabilized the fiscal affairs of this country, taking out of the abysmal point where the IMF was on you, about to put you in their program in 2021, and the best decision that the previous administration made, and I give you credit for that, calling an early election.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for St. Barnabas.
Thank you. But likewise, Prime Minister, we hope that you call an early election this time. We hope that you call. We hope that you call. The member for Marco City asked you a couple of months ago. That was you say call it, right? Huh? So. All is well in the F&M. Based on what we saw last night, plenty turmoil going on over there. Plenty turmoil going on over there. We are waiting for Southern Shores. We are waiting on a number of things. We're waiting on a number of things. All right, we good. We good. Prime Minister. No, but I just want to go back. Prime Minister. I want to go back, Prime Minister, to this point. No, I want to make a point. I must finish my speech. Right? Okay? So this discussion, Prime Minister, about VAT. Would we have consistently said that this government has not taken a balanced approach to the economic and fiscal affairs of the country? So again, while they reduced VAT to 10%, they hiked up VAT on other places where there wasn't VAT. The member for East Grand Bahama talked about the high-value real estate in which the government took VAT off of that. Those rich boys, they didn't ask. Reduced it by 2%, right? They didn't ask for that. So the Bahamian people feel that this government has not had a balanced approach, and there is no doubt that the tax burden, whether it's government fees, whether it's the tourism levy, and on, continues to grow on the Bahamian people. And now the government has come, Prime Minister, to say that this VAT, $15 million that the government has foregone, now amounts to $11 a month. No, it's hurting y'all, because the Bahamian people don't believe that. And $11 per family.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Kiara, Rumkey, and San Salvador.
I note the comments that were attributed to the government of the Bahamas, but I wish that it could be specifically identified who made those comments and when.
You talk to the Guardian. That's not our job. You clarified with the public.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for St. Barnabas.
Thank you.
That's your headache trying to explain it.
Thank you.
You can't get it off the front page. That's your job.
Prime Minister.
That's your job.
Prime Minister, you must acknowledge, sir. You must acknowledge, Prime Minister,
$11.
that this $15 million that your minister, the Minister of State, Mr. Alcides, said that the government has foregone the $15 million, this $15 million, and that the benefit for the Bahamian people is it's not affecting them in a real way. You have to appreciate that, Prime Minister. $11, people are hurting out there. People are having a difficult time buying food. And they look as $11 as an insult to the Bahamian people that you've asked the Bahamian people to sacrifice so much. Because what taxes are, among other things, is a sacrifice that the people make. So when you ask the Bahamian people to make that sacrifice, but yet you spend $60 million on travel, but yet you spend $280 million on consultants, they feel that there's a serious imbalance, and that's why when the election is called, the Free National Movement will be the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker.
That's impolite to point. That's impolite, but go ahead.
Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, again, the role of the Red Cross.
Your minority party?
The role of the Red Cross, Mr. Deputy Speaker, continues to be vital to the structure of voluntarism in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. This is a very important bill that continues to protect those persons who volunteer on behalf of the Red Cross and protect those, again, who, when persons are running away from disaster and running away from social and health challenges, the Red Cross continues to run to the aid of people across the world, but in particular, people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And what I will say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, as I take my seat, the emphasis on volunteerism across our country is very important. The emphasis on active citizenship, where each and every Bahamian from every walk of life must continue to ask themselves, how does my attitudes, my lifestyles, and my behaviors either contribute to the upliftment of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas or the diminishing of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? That question of what we do about self and how we contribute and what we do every day to make our country better at all different levels, it is something, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that we must continue to echo across our archipelago. I thank the Chair, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and as was stated by the member for East Grand Bahama, we support this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. As many, the Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Yamacraw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I thank you for this opportunity to rise in this honorable House on behalf of the good people of the Yamacraw constituency who have seen fit to place me here to represent their dreams, wishes, and aspirations when it comes to a country that is growing, that is fiscally and economically strong, and that has a great leader in the person of the Honorable Prime Minister Philip Edward Brave Davis. I thank you for the opportunity to stand on my feet at this time to speak to a bill, an amendment bill that is very impactful to our country once again as we move forward in our progress as a party. Mr. Chairman, permit me to just quickly go on a tangent for a moment. The member for St. Barnabas is conveniently, consistently, and persistently forgetful, hypocritical, and he has consistently misrepresented the truth in this place, especially when it comes to value-added tax. He has no credibility to speak on this topic, and I put it to the members of this good place and all persons who listen to him rant and go on their din of noise that the good member for Cat Island has identified, a din of noise that is often doom and gloom to the Bahamian people. They try to tell the Bahamian people things are worse than they are. They shout from their seats, St. Barnabas consistently. And his noise can easily be interrupted by the truth. It has been recently, and I chose not to interrupt him at that time because it was so easy to just come after and reveal something that he too would agree with, because the truth is a stubborn thing. Mr. Chairman, the member for St. Barnabas sat in this parliament in the last administration when he was surprised, well, some of his colleagues claimed they were surprised by an announcement during their first budget contribution after condemning VAT, their first budget contribution to announce the increase of VAT by 12%. I remember, as many Bahamians, that inner city members of parliament who cared about their people, who cared honestly about their people and this surprise increase, stood in opposition to that announcement. They stood in this parliament on principle and did not support the increase of value-added tax to 12%, a whopping 60% increase, as a surprise, the opposite of what they said they were going to do. St. Barnabas sat in this house and agreed on the VAT increase, and now he finds this renewed purpose and sense of purpose and care that he didn't have when they increased this to 12%. On the poor people, representing in the city. He had no principle then, and I say he have no principle and dignity now to speak on this topic. His moral authority has been damaged by his hypocrisy on this matter, and he should flee from any argument on VAT in this place and leave it up to someone else.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy. You know, the one thing about this member is I'm not going to run away from responsibilities. Unlike the member from Yamacraw, who continues to avoid the questions relating to the EIA and the SpaceX program and so forth. But on that issue, the member must qualify what he said. There is no doubt that the government would have increased VAT. But what we did do is also have a balanced approach and lower VAT and take VAT off of breadbasket items that ease the burden. Only one government off medication, off breadbasket, only one government has put VAT on the breadbasket items and the items that were affecting the poor people, and it was the Progressive Liberal Party. And it wasn't until recently that they decided to announce reducing the Deputy Speaker.
I'm glad, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad he went there. If Angleston, can you hand me that list, please? I'm glad he went there. I'm glad he went there because this topic is hurting them. And every time we do something good for the Bahamian people, they tell the Bahamian people it's bad for them. And the good member, in his rant once again, he can't run away from the fact they increased VAT across the board. And guess what? The reduction in VAT that they speak of on breadbasket items are these same little items here. Oh, little items. We increased this number by hundreds. We increased the breadbasket list that is now VAT-free. right? That now will be VAT free on all food items. All food items. So I don't know why the member consistently goes down the road of this untruthfulness and believe that he can brainwash the Bahamian people and something other than the facts. The facts are clear. The bread basket items they spoke of here, this is what they call bread basket item, not one chicken breast. Baby cereal, baby food, baby formula, and baby food and baby formula, I would think of the same thing, but I'll leave that up to you all. Including baby cereal, so I'll treat them one item, you know. So the family, unless you have a baby, thank you very much, Prime Minister, unless you have a baby, that wouldn't affect you. But let's go. No, there's no point of order. There's no point of hurt feelings in here. Just have a seat and let me finish. This is your list.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for assent.
Just to be clear, as the member continues his verbal gymnastics, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this opposition has been consistent in saying that it should be off, VAT should have been off healthy foods. The member for East Grand Bahama led the charge. The member for East Grand Bahama led the charge, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So if he's trying to tell a story, make sure to tell the correct story, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The chair recognizes the honorable member.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm coming to the member for East Grand Bahama. You know, I'm glad he brought it up too, because the member has foot and mouth disease, right? And so I come into that too. Somebody pay attention. So here are the items. They have boasted to the Bahamian people that this was the best thing since sliced bread. They took that. They said, this is your bread basket items list. We're taking that off. This is what the F&M has to offer. What are you still arguing to this day? Baby cereal, baby food, baby formula. That's one item, but they have it listed as 3. And if you ain't have no baby, this don't affect you, right? Bread, broths and soups, butter, canned fish, cheese, condensed milk, cooking oil, corned beef, which was the only meat.
Keep your corned beef.
You remember keep your corned beef?
I remember that, Mom.
You remember keep your corned beef? Evaporated milk, flour, milk, grits, margarine, mayonnaise, mustard, powdered detergent.
Wow.
I know how to get in there, but people don't eat powdered detergent, okay? Rice, soup, and tomato paste.
No chicken on that?
No fruits or vegetables, nothing healthy, no chicken, only corned beef.
Wow.
They wanted them in only corned beef. And they stand it here. Mr. Chairman, it's amazing. It's amazing. Every time we move further in giving people relief on VAT, on food items, now down to 0, they still stand in here and tell people this list was better for them. Shameful. Shameful. And I'd like to table it again. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, permit me to take a ride down memory lane a little further, because I didn't intend to go in this direction. I really have a contribution that is I'm going to cut on the bill at hand. But we cannot leave on the record the mistruth, the misleading, and what seemed to be a misunderstanding of their own record from the opposition party that shouts from their seat repeatedly in this House, especially on that. The member for East Grand Bahama stood up in here a moment ago, and the member for St. Barnabas, I want people to remember what the member of St. Barnabas really stand for. Because in opposition, they say one thing, and then they get in and do something different. And when they did something different by increasing VAT to 12%, everybody else in the inner city community stand up. He didn't. And he saved his seat. So let the Bahamian people see what he really care for. So now he's
The chair recognizes
the retreat from St. Barnabas.
Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for St.
Thank you.
Barnabas.
Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker. Let me say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the honourable member talks about deception and smokes and mirrors and suggesting it and so forth, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, every time on this issue, I've not run away from any of the issues in terms of my vote, in terms of my presence, as it relates to the value-added tax increase. What I did emphasize and what we continue to emphasize is that we had a balanced approach, that this government reduced it to 10%, but increased the tax burden on the Bahamian people, government fees and on taxes. The Bahamian people are saying today that when it was at 12, that the Free National Movement had a balanced approach. Because now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm going to finish my statement. Because now they're saying that the government, they say that this government swing them with the 10% and they increase the burden on everything else, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So they get no credit. It's just like, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this whole thing about the $15 million that the government has foregone, and all you give the Bahamian people is an $11 savings. What is that? It's shameful, Mr. Deputy Speaker. $11 to the Bahamian people. $11. That's what Yamacraw and this government thinks about the Bahamian people. Those who watching this today, $11.
Right,
what can $11 do for a family of four?
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
Point of order, Mr. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. The side opposite has come in here for 4+ years and talk about they're talking for the Bahamian people. When we went to the Bahamian people in West End and Bimini, they weren't talking for the Bahamian people because they got a worse beating in the by-election than they did in the election. And then when recently we went to the Bahamian people, I believe it was less than 2 months ago in Golden Isles, we found out that they weren't speaking for the Bahamian people because the Bahamian people put our colleague across the way here. So they need to stop talking about they're speaking to for the Bahamian people when they are rejected. When they are rejected. But Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, St. Barnabas has asked me a question. And St. Barnabas is, what I would say to St. Barnabas is, I'll be in Freetown. I hope you're in St. Barnabas or somewhere come the election.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Yamacraw.
Where in the world is St. Barnabas? Mr. Chairman, the members of the opposition has forced us down a road where we have to correct the record, defend our record, because to me it's not really a defense, it's a correction. Yes. Because what they are doing is not putting a position, they are just spewing untruths. And this $11, let me speak the $11 because the member I think went to, well, you went to a good school. Because you went to a good school. And I would say, I was going to say it wasn't money well spent, but you are right with me. This is what I say. This $11 is totally untrue when it comes to basic math. So what is it then? It's, no. What does it say? You are saying that it is, and you have the right. No, Mr. Chairman, the member continues to interrupt.
Member.
The government has not said yet.
Can you allow me?
What is the savings?
Member.
What is the
Member, you asked him a question. Please permit him to. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the member seemed to be very agitated and antsy in his seat. And every 2 minutes he's popping up. He's popping up. He is very emotional, overly emotional.
He's unhinged.
And he's unhinged. Just are falling off over there. So you asked me a question. I placed a chart in this good place. I placed a chart in here. And if you be quiet long enough, you'll hear what someone else have to say. But I placed a chart in here that shows an example of what families can save. There is never a one number that can be put to any amount of savings on any family because everyone makes a different amount of income and also have different and have different spending. And so when you go to a food store, unless you can determine that my grocery card looks exactly like your grocery card, you cannot determine that me and you will save $11. And so when you take these things out of context, let me try to educate you just a bit. So when you take these, come on, man.
At least let him finish.
What is your point of order, member?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, the member stood up for about 2 minutes just now, and I asked him a question. Right? No, I'm done with the question. The government, it is incredible. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is incredible that the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas just made a big announcement that there's relief. That there's relief coming to the Bahamian people, and you as a minister of the cabinet can't say what that means for the Bahamian people and what the relief is? Huh? What does it? What is it? If it's not $11, what is the relief? Y'all can't even say the number. Y'all can't even say the number. Say a number. Say a number.
Member, you're using a point of order to ask a question.
In basic math, I think you can understand this. There is a now 5% savings on all food across the board immediately. That's relief. 5%, not $5. 5%, meaning that whatever number you spend, if it's $5 or $5,000, you take 5% off that. And so the number will never be the same. But I feel like I feel like I'm talking to
members. Member.
This isn't question time.
One minute, member. You can't use a point of order to ask a question.
That's right.
Right. So please make sure your point of order is a point of order.
every time we do something good that affects positively our economy and the Bahamian people, they have a difficulty with it. They have been consistent with the behavior, Mr. Chairman, because I would have chaired this on.
Members,
So, Mr. Chairman, every time the government of the Bahamas, under the leadership of Philip Davis, member for Cat Island, says something or makes an announcement that benefits Bahamian people, the opposition has a problem. When we decrease VAT to 5%, they had a problem. When we increase it to 10%, they had a problem. When we decrease it now to 0, they have a problem. When we increase minimum wage, they have a problem. I'm glad you brought that up about East Grand Bahama, because let me take you on a timeline, East Grand Bahama on the same topic. East Grand Bahama, quote, PLP proposed VAT reduction to 10% will destabilize the economy of the Bahamas. Will destabilize the economy of the Bahamas. This is a quote by the then Minister of State for Finance, Mr. J. Kwesi Thompson, East Grand Bahama. And let me take you, let me walk. Yes, Yes, he's not gonna, he said it. He said it. He was wrong then, and he's wrong now. And I would read, I would table this because.
Would you accept that you're wrong then?
You accept you're wrong. Would you accept you're wrong? Now you're telling us to reduce it to zero, and I wouldn't accept. Would you accept you're wrong now?
So the economy is not stabilized.
So, PM, you tried. you tried. And so I would show the picture, but he was much younger then, right? So he has gone on, and all of us have aged a bit. But the only thing has changed. The only thing has changed is because he is consistent with this type of miscalculation when it comes to finances. And this who manages and want to manage the finances of the Bahamas again, Mr. Chairman. So that was followed, right? That was followed by a quote in The Guardian saying, a young picture again, government blasts the PLP's plan to cut VAT. He blasted the plan. In this particular article from The Guardian, he says, it is regrettable that the opposition would use a matter as serious as our fiscal and economic health to choose to engage in rank populist politicking, Thompson said. They would say anything to win an election. Thompson claimed that the PLP's proposed VAT cut for 12 months would lead to a dramatic fall. He said in 1 year, it would lead to a dramatic fall in revenue, likely in excess of $100 million. He later came back and increased that to an amount of, I think, $160 million. He said the government will lose due to the cut of VAT or the reduction of VAT from 12% to 10%. This is the member for East Grand Bahama, who was the Minister of State for Finance, who was over there purporting the same thing from his seat. Bahamian people, this is who wants to represent you when it comes to finances. Mr. Chairman, I take you to the next picture, a little older than, right? But he says,
1 p.m. And I would move that the House sits beyond 1 p.m. to permit Yamakroa to finish his to finish his contribution, following which I would move suspension to 3 o'clock.
Do I get a seconder? Seconded. It has been moved and seconded that the business of the House extend beyond the 1 p.m. hour. As many are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. Member, you may cast. It has been accepted that the member go beyond the 1 p.m. hour.
Thank you. So he went from 100 million to, this Tribune article says, now the government would have lost $160 million. $160 million. So I don't know what kind of math. They obviously, if their Minister of Finance don't know math, I don't expect St. Barnabas, who had nothing to do with finances at the time, to know math. Right? So he wasn't, because he wasn't even in the cabinet. Right? So then once the VAT removal was done, right? Taking you down this timeline, once the VAT removal was done, they got a little antsy again. They didn't like it, and they say, we want VAT removed from all healthy food. This is a Guardian article, November 6, 2023. Opposition, and there's a picture of J. Kwesi Thompson from East Grand Bahama. Opposition wants removal of VAT on healthy food items. They never said all food, right? They said, now we want you to do it on healthy food items. They didn't do it. They did corned beef, right? And no fruits, no vegetables, no chicken breasts, nothing to make you healthy. And when they talk with medicine, nothing to keep you healthy either. Right? So if you're healthy already, VAT ain't gonna help you on medicine. They only give it on the ones that you gotta take after you're sick. So don't let them swing you in here all of a sudden, trying to change the narrative when the facts are clear. So now,
Honorable member, the chair recognizes the member for East Grand Bahama.
No, Mr. Chair, it is not a matter of swinging the Bahamian people.
They swinging the Bahamian people right now.
It is a matter of speaking at the time, which was at the height of the inflation crisis, at the height of when Bahamians needed it the most. We spoke and we said when other countries around the world were removing VAT off of breadbasket items in response to the inflation crisis, we said they should do the same. And I'm glad that he also referred to it, because that is what we have been referring to, which we have been saying from 2022. We have been saying at the height of the inflation crisis, remove VAT off of all healthy food. There is still no justification. There's still no justification as to why they waited until 2025, the late 2025, to be able to remove it. We said they ought to have done it from 2022.
Yes.
That is the point that we were raising.
The chair recognizes
Still don't talk about that $11.
this is what mismanagement, this is example, they are the example of mismanagement. Their
60 million.
Their suggestions are not often based on any kind of assessment or facts. He said, because other people do it, you go do it. They come with, they come with, no, that's what you said. That's what you said. But listen,
No empirical data.
no.
The chair recognizes the honorable member.
The information that when we spoke about this, was the inflation crisis. It was when inflation got to 4%. It was when families across the Bahamas and families across the world were having an inflation crisis. And unfortunately, this government did not act at that time. We said they ought to have acted then. So I'm thankful that he is raising it, because you are making our point that we have been calling for them, calling for you to remove it off of healthy foods for years. And you have only now done it.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Cat Island and San Salvador.
But he said this would destabilize the economy. You said would destabilize the economy, Mr. Finance.
You have to decide what you wish in governance, right? You acknowledge that lowering VAT will destabilize the economy. So
What time was that? What time was that?
Be very clear. You have to be very clear. The same people that were the same people who were advising you were the same people who were advising us. And I think we both accept that those are they are very smart people. And so, no. So you ask about the statement that was made. The statement that was made at that particular time, and the information that we had in the front of us. That is why I made that particular statement.
I remember.
you made the statement, right? And if you had indicated that present circumstance suggests to me that if you lower VAT at this time, the potential is there for the economy to be destabilized. If you said that, then what you're saying now would have had some credibility to me. You did not say that. You did not say that. You did not say that, right? Now, so, you see, look, so, you know, if on the one hand, you see, we are fiscally responsible, all right? So you said at that time, you asked us to lower VAT on healthy foods. That's what you asked. Huh? May 2023. Yeah, okay. May 2023. Lower VAT on healthy foods. Now, as a responsible steward of fiscal affairs, and you're taking that into account, at that time, what you look at, how it would impact your revenue, right? And so if we didn't do it then, perhaps it was because it was not fiscally responsible to do it at that time. And hence, very often, and hence, we did it when it was appropriate and when we were able to do so.
In addition, we also said...
I would appreciate if you allow me to acknowledge you, because I would like to keep the House to some level of, respect.
I accept that, and the Prime Minister has ceded. So I appreciate the Prime Minister for sitting.
So while the member is up explaining a question you posed upon him,
yes,
at least allow him to finish.
Now
watch this. I will allow you to finish, and I would like for you to, in turn, show the same gratitude to all of us.
Mr. Chairman, agreed. I have no difficulties with that. Thank you very much for that. At the time, we were also saying that you also should be fiscally responsible when it came to your spending. We were also saying the additional amount that you will spend for travel. We were saying that you should be fiscally responsible when it comes to reducing the amount for travel, so that then you could have accommodated other things that would have assisted when it came to cost of living. So it wasn't just about just saying remove that off of healthy food. We were saying that you should remove it off healthy food, but you should also be fiscally responsible when it comes to your spending. That is also what we were saying as well back then.
The chair recognized the honourable member for Cat Island Rump answer.
We hear the talking points, right? We hear the talking points. The Bahamas will not be in the position that they're in on the global stage. The Bahamas will not be in the position it is in from a domestic point of view for the amount of investment flows that comes through, in the amount of the tourist arrival, if we didn't have a presence on the world stage. Right? As I speak, right, we are at the table in a number of key initiatives, global initiatives. For example, the most existential threat to the global world is climate change. Because of travel and because of our advocacy, we are on the table. We are around the table on the loss and damage initiative, which in fact was put on the agenda in Egypt when what I call the global north were not willing to have it on the agenda. It was our advocacy that got it done. And it's our advocacy that set up, now have the loss and damage fund. And it's our advocacy that operationalizing it, and it's our advocacy that has us at the table. No. Let me just finish this, right? Look. It is accepted by yourselves and us that the blacklisting of our country in the finances has always been unfairly done, right? You agree? Because they continually move the goalposts. We agree that, right? Because of our advocacy at the UN, at CELAC, in Brussels, and elsewhere, right? The world, right? The UN has now adopted. No, listen, man. We are now around the table. Our Attorney General is out there advocating and now crafting a new architecture to ensure that there will be fairness and equity when it comes down to that, right? So that is what we're doing, right? So let me, and now, and if you're thinking, listen, our spending was responsible. First of all, let us agree one or two things, right? Governing is about choices. Governing is about priorities, right? Those are our choices and priorities. Our choices and our priorities. If we were irresponsible, right, in our choices made, in our priorities made, I don't think that you'll have the IMF. All right, now let me just say this. You indicated that the same people advise us and make recommendations. The IMF advises too. Yeah. They were telling me, just like you all were saying, that if I cut VAT, it will destabilize the country. And that's where you probably got the thought from. That's what they told me. Right? They told me that. I says no. In fact, they were suggesting, as they were suggesting to you all, it should be raised to the regional average. That's what they were telling you. Right? I tell them no. Y'all want me to go that way? I go in this way, down. And I did. I didn't follow the advice. The country is, and so, no.
Members, I tried to entertain you all as far as I could. The member have to pursue, the member for Yamoussoukro have to continue with his contribution. This back and forth, this is a matter, this will never resolve. So, okay, I will give you 15 seconds to make the point, and please, let's move on.
The point that we have been making in terms of fiscal responsibility has been the government has still not been able to justify spending over $1 million on one trip.
Thank you.
That is the point we've been making.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Yamoussoukro.
Mr. Chairman, the facts, obviously, this is not sinking in with the opposition. So I don't intend to go down the road of a debate, because to me there's no debate. They had bad management practices. If they want to boast of how the economy is managed under their leader, they would even keep their leader. They didn't. That's right. They have many things they implemented that were a surprise on people. They now say one thing, and they have done something different. They now speak with a different voice. This is a trend. Every time we do something good, even in the midst of international communities, international agencies telling us we have done remarkable. The IMF told the Prime Minister what we have done was remarkable. They still saying, no, it ain't good. So just listen, and it is in a report that they read in here. But they read over everything in the report except that, because they don't want the people to accept that our leader, our government, our administration is doing a way better job than they could ever dream of. Because in their dream, they saw a decimation. In their dream, they saw destabilization. That is still their dream, that things are bad, that we ain't good, that the Bahamas is this and that next thing. We say the economy is better. We say the people that we talk to, even though you may talk to doom and gloom people, we talk to would prefer the PLP over your administration any day, and twice on Sundays. Mr. Chairman, on the bill. Mr. Chairman, I just want to say that the purpose of the bill is very clear, that it provides for immunities and privileges, a divide for us to respond better to disasters, for the Red Cross to respond better to disasters in quick time. And therefore, we believe that when a natural disaster occurs, as we know, we are in a hurricane belt, that Bahamians throughout our scattered islands can have peace knowing that this bill will provide critical legal infrastructure so that they can receive key supplies and assistance quickly. This bill seeks to allow the Bahamas Red Cross to do just this. Mr. Chairman, Providing definitions removes uncertainties in this bill, and ministerial affiliation ensures organization. The Bahamas Red Cross partners so they can carry out their jobs efficiently when they are most needed to provide support throughout the Bahamas. All of the benefits of this bill is supported by both sides, and so I will not belabor any point, but to say that Yamoussoukro supports this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, member. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the House now suspend to 3:30 this afternoon.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the House do suspend till 3 p.m. this afternoon, 3:30 p.m. this afternoon. As many are in favor, will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The House now stands suspended until 3:30 p.m.
Yes, sir.
All right.